So I'm hiking up Via Montserrat Trail mountain. It's not really, I guess it's a mountain, mini mountain up here near Fallbrook, San Diego. And I was thinking about the current times that we are all a part of. We're all part of co-creating these present times. And our families and our ancestors have been creating these times that we live in since the beginning. However you articulate the beginning is up to you. Time may be an illusion, but as far as my little human brain understands it, time, it has a beginning and a direction, and I know that a little bit that, time doesn't really make sense or doesn't exist or whatever in the laws of physics. See how little I know about it. I just know that time may be an illusion. We may be living in simultaneous holographic, copies of ourselves, reflections of ourselves in different time and different moments. And perhaps there's an infinite reflection of ourselves in the mind of God. And perhaps we are a vessel, a beautiful machine carrying our deeper self, our spiritual self, our soul. However you choose, whatever word you choose to attach to the phenomenon that we truly don't understand with our human minds, we make beautiful guesses, as I'm doing right now, as I'm looking at a beautiful sunset over the mountain, walking in this amazing machine that I've been given, contemplating my thoughts, contemplating my memories, contemplating what memory is, contemplating time, allowing it all to be, and simply just being as simple in this present moment as I can, just fully getting out of my own way and listening to my footsteps. And as I was walking and being in that space, that's when the most beautiful stuff comes up. I think that's kind of that clairvoyance that comes out of completely releasing and getting out of your way. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm close, right?
Yes.
All right. Good. So, what I really got to thinking in that moment of just openness was that all of this, what this looks like at an energetic level. And again, this really works within whatever story you want to wrap around it. Whatever mythology we want to create or tell ourselves to help us understand the unknowables, the infinities, all that beyond stuff. Wow, I am out of shape. And I will breathe in the moment to capture my thoughts. We don't need to get lost in tangents or egos. So I was I was seeing this from a place of what does energy look like? And how do people choose to direct their energies? Because we have this beautiful vessel that we get to ride around in. And if we treat it well, it gets us around pretty good for a pretty good amount of time. I'm trying to treat mine better, that's for sure. But even as I breathe, my body turns oxygen into energy. And the food in my belly is being turned into energy. And I'm walking around surrounded by the earth and by plants and trees. And we're all part of an interconnected thing that we call life. And that thing seems to be mathematically, synchronistically, energetically, completely intertwined as one source, as one thing, as one consciousness that we are all sprouts of. And we call that God. We call that a lot of things. We have 1,000 names for God. Yet, according to some of my friends, God still remains unnamed. And that's okay with me. Because we use language to wrap up ideas and make them feel like we can carry them around in our pocket. And we can tell stories about ideas. And we can make arguments with ideas. And we can win wars with ideas. We can cause wars with ideas. So look at the map energetically. Well, how are people turning the energy in their bodies into behavior, into outward action? How do people express the energy within? Because that energy has, you could say, light and dark. You could say love and fear. You could say yin and yang. You could say God and devil. These are all manifestations of the inherent energy within us and how it interacts with all the other energies out there that happen to be walking around in bodies and in other plant such things and animal such things and whatnot. And if you're someone that's thinking of me as a fucking hippie right now, that's okay. But just hear that I'm not attaching one political idea to this. I'm not trying to sway someone one direction or the other at all. And I'm not trying to talk in crazy metaphysical terms that are too much woo. I'm saying on a basic level, we are a beautiful, lethal, creative, amazing, love-making, war-making, art-making machine. And we can steer this thing in many different directions. And the ideas that we share, the way we speak those ideas, the language we use, how we form it, how we shape it, how we express it, and especially how we express it in our body, how people see it, that all creates the landscape, the experience of what pulses through us all. And we see the anger on television and we feel a pulse in our heart and our body. And now that energy has affected us. We see joy on television. We see something truly touching and it pulses our heart and it pulses our body. We have to understand you have the ability to be aware of that part of yourself, to get out of your way, meaning get your ideas out of the way, get your fears out of the way. That's not who you truly are. Get the shit that you have been taught by bad teachers and bad cultural norms and just laziness and stupidity of a progressively privileged and anti-privileged culture. So, I'm just trying to give it to you straight in the moment, the way I see it at its most simple. People put gas in the tank of the human body and we operate this thing and we open its mouth and we spit out words and we spit out ideas and we spit out fears and we spit out lines and boundaries and allegiances, and then we attach those things to emotion. And emotion is expressed through energy. So now you have human beings with dark skin, with brown skin and black skin, who are associated with danger. And people who know what the hell they're doing associate those people and anyone like them with danger. And we become emotionally programmed through a thing we call racism. Everyone needs to understand racism is not... I just came up on a bunch of people and freaked them out talking about racism. But we have to understand that racism is a practiced thing in our body that manifests in ideas and tribes. We practice being afraid of certain people. And if everyone was being honest, everyone has had experiences with each other that are not very fun. So we see what's on the TV, what's being fed to us. We already have a response bias. We see a black person in the street and we go, right? Come on, white people. You know what I'm talking about. But you know what? Other black people do that too. You know why? Because we're programmed by experience. We're programmed by culture. It's an automatic thing. It's not a conspiracy. It's an automatic byproduct of how we all choose to think and how we co-create. So you have a choice about how you direct your energy. So it's super cool. As I came up on the mountain up here, I just ran into a bunch of people and, you know, people of different backgrounds. And the first thing I said when I walked up on the mountain, I was like, and racism. So I kind of had to explain myself. So now I'm up here and I'm just chilling and I'm looking at a sunset with a silhouette of an American flag on top of a mountain over San Diego. I couldn't be more proud or more in love with my family and my friends and my community. You get to choose where you point your energy. You can point it in the direction of love. That doesn't mean you can't be strong. There is very strong masculine love and there is very compassionate, nurturing feminine love. And both of them are important. Both of them are a place of balance within ourselves that we can strive toward. And too often what we see right now is a broken, hurt femininity on the left and a broken, injured masculinity on the right. And we see that being played out and acted out on both sides of the political spectrum and the ideological spectrum. But you know what it is? It's both sides of the emotional and energetic spectrum. And some people, I've learned this by doing trauma work with a lot of people. A lot of combat veterans, a lot of people with a lot of bad childhood stories. And you know what I've noticed is that some people cope with trauma by becoming more feminine. Some people cope with trauma by becoming more masculine. Some people have kind of a balance of both. They go back and forth depending on the circumstance. Like I grew up in the country and I grew up wrestling and playing football. At the same time, when it came to conflict, because of my childhood story, I learned to avoid conflict. I learned a feminine response to conflict. Go figure, I became a psychologist, right? A caregiver, a helper. Had to pause, I just passed some real nice folks. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope I shared what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing, maybe shared a perspective that can let you, I think if we can let go just for a moment, you don't have to release yourself, just float a little bit. Hold on to your ideas, hold on to your fears, hold on to those stories to those tribes. But maybe just step back a little bit and stick your head out the window and see what it feels like to just be with your breath in the moment and to not tell a story. To realize that everything in the past is a story you're telling yourself in the present moment, and you're seeing the world through that story. And that story comes with feelings. It comes with the expression of an energetic story through emotion, through memories, through feelings in the body, through punches and jabs and hurt words. And we react to anybody that reminds us of that automatically. Our machine learns very automatically from experience. It's made to learn automatically. So we go about living our lives, and we have experiences and we have memories, and some of those are more painful and more loud, and we remember them more than others. If we get lucky, we have some real pleasurable ones in there. We have some real joyful ones. If we start telling ourselves a story that we are a victim, it doesn't mean we are not the victim of something. But if you say to yourself, I have now been hurt by my parents, by my community, by my grandparents, by my culture. I have now been harmed by our fathers, our political fathers, our political mothers. You may indeed be hurt as a child. You may indeed be harmed. You may indeed be forgotten. You may be abandoned. Someone may have treated you like shit. And you did the best you could to tell yourself a story and to respond in a way that would keep you safe and protect you. And you became more aggressive, or you became more passive. You became more violent, or you became more nurturing. Both can create negativity. Both can fuck people up. You can coddle someone too much, and you can definitely hurt someone too much. And we can learn, though, we can gain that wisdom. That's the journey of life. That's the journey of becoming. That's the journey that we are all on. You can learn to listen to your breath and notice what your mind is telling you and notice what your body is telling you. Look at how your machine is acting out this story. Look at how this meat suit, my buddy Joel says, is acting out this story. And we're just acting out decades of algorithms, decades of rules, decades of ideas, decades of programmed fears. And some of them look more masculine and some of them are more feminine. And those things become ideas and they become experiences and they become political parties. And pretty soon we start attaching danger to ideas, and we wrap ideas and words and sounds and colors around the phenomenon of danger. And that creates this story we call racism. And we treat each other like shit. And we try to qualify and quantify and equate our traumas. The moment you try to shove your trauma down someone else's throat, they say, well, fuck you, man, what about me? I didn't have it easy either. And I've been so fortunate. I grew up in rural Minnesota, which I feel blessed to have had that upbringing and that life. I lived in a beautiful place with really wonderful people. We were farmers and hard workers, teachers, electricians, all that stuff. And then I moved west and I went to Wyoming, and then I went to Utah, and then I ended up in San Diego. And I lived in Barrio Logan, San Diego. And I started painting live at underground art shows, and I was hanging out with all kinds of people that I had never hung out with, and I was having a great time. And you know what? All those people liked to party. All of them wanted to pay their bills. All of them had families. It's just the ones on that side felt really forgotten. They just truly felt like they weren't part of the thing. Like they weren't welcome in the thing. Like the thing didn't apply to them. Like Animal Farm, right? All animals are created all animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others. And that's how our situation is here. You have a lot of people that just want to be part of the tribe. They want the same laws. And unfortunately, sometimes when those people get a little injured too much, they go a little bit too far into that feminine side and they say, we need equality for all, or else. You will call us by a certain pronoun, or else. And then suddenly people freak out a little bit because we're getting a little too far in the left and we're getting a little too far into, some aggressive left. We start imposing the government on the left. We say, we need more government, we need more control, we need more regulation. We need someone to watch over us because we don't trust ourselves anymore. We don't trust ourselves as individuals. We don't trust individuals. How is that putting love out into the world? How is that putting love into the community? We don't trust you to be individuals. We need some regulations for you. We need more rules. Let's restrict your businesses more. And you know what? Most common sense people are definitely for good, common sense, taking care of the environment type rules. It makes sense to take care of your own backyard. And if you don't, well, you're a fucking moron. And it also makes sense to have certain things available. If we're going to pay taxes, how about we have some things available to us for those monies that we put out there? That kind of makes sense to me. So we can do common sense if we express it within ourselves. This all comes down to how each person individually express themselves. And if you're injured and hurt and you're fucking aggressive and angry, then that means you have an injured masculine. And you're overcompensating with violence and anger and acting out, and you're punishing everyone around you because you need to act out your fucking anger every time you get mad. And you pound the table and you raise your voice. And I've done those things. And I've been injured and I've been hurt. I've acted that shit out. That shit has been acted out to me. It's part of how I grew up. It's part of how I got tough. Or you can start to get real scared and you can start to avoid everything and you can start to nerf everything and you can make sure that all the kids get trophies because heaven forbid we have to work really hard for something. We can start imposing pronouns on everyone. And we can start telling ourselves stories that get in the way of honest empathy. I had a hard time getting people to go to a meditation experience on the beach the other night because what if we offend someone? Anything you create from a place of fear will manifest in energy, either masculine or feminine. The extent to which you react and you perceive yourself as injured is the extent to which you will probably lean to one way or the other, express in one way or the other. And all of us, it's like a heart rate monitor, It's like a sound waves. It pulses up and down. We pulse up and down all the time energetically. And it manifests in our emotions, and it manifests in our words, and it manifests in our ideas. And it manifests, now ideas have the potential to trigger our bodies. They have the potential to trigger our fears. Just someone flashing a certain word means you're part of a tribe. I bet I've said a whole bunch of words today that a lot of you reacted and pulsed and made you feel like I'm a certain kind of person. Either you dug what I was saying or you were like, fuck that guy. That's okay. That's just your body telling you how you perceive the world. It doesn't mean it's the truth. You need to learn the difference between the pulses of your body and your ability to steer this thing. We got a beautiful machine here. It's got a beautiful spirit inside. We learn to steer these machines in the right direction. We learn to fuel these machines with love. And we express ourselves in a love thy neighbor sort of way. In a love thyself sort of way. We recognize that the divine lives within. And we can just be. And we can be. And we can be. And we can be, and we can be. So go out and be, man. Genuine love to all of you. I'm going to go down the mountain now.